Hello, everyone, and welcome to Off Road. Today, our guest is Ray Oliver, and he is the CEO of Bear Creek Capital. Welcome, Ray.
Hey Frank, how are you?
Good. How are
Good to be
you?
here. Great, great.
Thanks for coming on. I'm really glad you could come on because I know we share a lot in common. As you know, I'm president of Corporate Roadshow for 25 years, and I do roadshows. I do physical roadshows. And the only thing that I see out there is a lot of the big companies. There was just one micro cap conference in
Atlantic City.
person. Right. And I always used to go to the money shows. Those were pretty big.
Me
Um,
too.
but a lot of the companies that go there don't realize that there are other avenues. There are investment clubs to get in front of. And most people in our business don't know that. And I've been doing it for years. You do the same thing. You get investors in front of companies and companies in front of investors. And you create the magic. And it happens in a room, face to face, more often than I can imagine, than I can tell you. But you've been doing this a really, really long time. What are some of the biggest advantages of in-person meetings that digital roadshows can't provide?
Well, I think you can't take away from the face to face. Let's be honest. I think one of the things I was talking about was that you don't ever hear about an investor saying, "Hey, I just listened to a really good Zoom call and there's a great CEO." But a lot of times you'll listen to an investor that'll say, "Man, I went to a lunch today and I met this CEO, and this guy was dynamic. And I really want to take a serious look at investing in this company." So I think the face to face, in my opinion, is a way to get a little more personal with the company, really get to understand the executive as opposed to just being pitched to the company, right? So that's what I like.
Yeah, I agree. And investors definitely respond differently in a face-to-face setting versus a virtual presentation. One of the things that I always liked when I went to roadshow, a live presentation, is that I can look in the eyes of the CEO and the president. I can see their mannerisms. I can see if they come prepared. There's a lot of
Yeah,
things that they don't have to say, but you can see, right? I mean,
absolutely. The little thing.
trust is a key in raising capital.
Absolutely.
And do you believe trust is built differently in a physical meeting versus a Zoom call?
I think so. I'll give you an example. I had a very good friend of 30 years come up to me, and he was talking to me. He just met the CEO of Red Cat, and the
Okay.
stock was at like 87 cents.
Mhm.
This was like 3 months ago. And he goes, "Man, this guy just has his T's and I's crossed and dotted. I love the way he spoke about the company. He had great humility, spoke from the heart, and he had a great execution plan. And he's a licensed guy." And he goes, "Ray, you should buy the stock." Of course, I didn't buy the stock, and the stock went from 87 cents to $14.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think that companies that are consistent with doing the little things right in front of these small audiences, it starts going viral. But I don't think that Zoom is a replacement for live shows, and I don't think live shows are a replacement for Zoom. I just think that they go hand in hand when you're trying to get out there and really talk about the company.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think you have to have definitely a multi-pronged uh, marketing program, and I think both are really good. You've been doing this a long time. Can you share one of the success stories that is, the roadshow made a significant impact on a deal?
Yeah, I had a small biotech company that that came around, and his stock was trading maybe. I look at dollar volume. I look at how much money a stock is trading, and his stock was trading like 100 to 300,000, maybe as much as 500,000 a day in volume. And the stock was under 5, and a lot of institutions can't really touch that, you know. So I took them on the road, and I'm not kidding you that just at one event, I saw my investors in the middle of the event. They were taking out their cell phones and they were buying the guy's stock.
Wow.
And long story short, the stock ended up going. I mean, after the roadshow, the stock set at a much higher valuation. But then we saw a lot of institutions come in, and we saw some really good filings come out of the company. And before I knew it, it turned into a 10 bagger. Like 3 months later, they ended up getting bought out, and the rest is history. So
That's fantastic.
you do see some things like that happen every once in a while. Every now and then, there's a company that comes around that just makes everybody in the room stop everything they're doing and going, my God, I need to be invested.
I got it. Hey, listen, one of my most memorable stories is Rexon Pharmaceuticals. When I
Yeah.
did the corporate roadshow in the reverse merger with Rexon Pharmaceuticals, they needed to raise some money. And we went on maybe 3 or 4 roadshows, and slim pickings really didn't happen. And so the last roadshow that we went on, we went to the Money Show in Washington, D.C. And it was fantastic. We had a great booth, and right next to us was Newt Gingrich signing autographs on his book. So we had some good traffic coming. And next thing
Yeah.
you know, they met one of the big investment houses down there, raised a lot of money, and within about 2 years, they were on the New York Stock Exchange. So these things really do work. And like I said, you have some memorable stories. I have some memorable stories, and I want to keep creating them, to be honest with you.
The stories keep coming in too, you know.
You know,
I mean, I can tell you last week I was at a conference, and there was 18 companies at the conference. And out of I ran into a fund manager, and I asked him, I said, which company did you like? And he mentioned a company that I was already invested in, that I'm already up 10 times my money in. And he said to me that this stock is a 10 bagger from where it's at. So he's telling me that my investment that's already up 10 times is going to be up another 10 times from where it's at. Now, whether that happens or not, it's just amazing to run into some of these companies. I mean, take Palantir, for example. I bought Palantir like 2 months ago at 70 something dollars. It's finally coming down at $114. There are people making.
that's an unbelievable story. It really
It
is.
is. It is.
Yeah,
And I have friends that did pre-IPO in that stock, $3, $4,
right.
$6. Do you know they can't get their clients to sell the stock?
Wow.
Because when the stock went up, to 50 or $60, they called up their client. They said, let's take some off the table. And the client turned to them and said, all the months later, why should I listen to you? You were wrong at 50. What makes you think you're going to be right at 110? In other words, there's just some companies out there that are worth holding on to for a very long term.
Yeah.
And I like to look at myself as a unicorn hunter. And I also look at my platform as it's an opportunity for me to get paid to look at companies to invest in. And I pick and choose what companies I really like, and then I invest
Yeah, I know. You've seen a lot of CEOs come around. You've seen a lot of them do presentations, some successful, some not successful. What do you think the X factor is that brings substance to the table with these guys? What do you think they have in common?
in. I think that having a great presentation is huge, obviously, but putting together a great team, having a CFO that sounds like James Earl Jones when he's talking about the numbers of the company, it just makes investors feel good that there's a great steward of the money. Having a CEO that has humility, has gratitude, but he's very cognizant of the fact that, you know, he's got to execute, he's got to make it happen, he's got to deliver on his promises. And in this day and age where there's a lot of competition for the money, quite frankly,
Yeah.
in my opinion, these companies have to do something transformative. They have to do something, like I said earlier, that when an investor looks at a company, they go, oh my God, I need to be invested in this company. And then do that surprising transformative event that happens that make investors feel even better. Because your greatest source, in my opinion, of you getting traction with your stock is that individual investor that tells the whole world, and that great CEO. So,
Yeah.
just
Now, people come to you. How do you get them prepared when they're going to go see, when you get them in front of 100 investors or sometimes 200 investors in a week? How do you get the CEOs prepared? What do you
Well,
do?
I've been doing live road shows, as you know, since 2003. Actually, I worked in in a public company where I was setting up road shows for them, and I actually would hire guys like you and some of the other guys out there that you know. And one of the things that I always tell the CEO is, I don't want you to worry about the logistics. There is nothing that can happen here that I haven't dealt with. And I want you to let me deal with that. I want you to focus on delivering the best presentation that you can and don't get caught up in any of the aesthetics. And I take care of the rest. And I also emphasize that they get a lot of rest before they come down because, as you may know, I take companies to Orlando, the Villages, West Palm, Boca, Fort Lauderdale, Miami Beach, Naples, Sarasota,
I did
Lakewood
not
Ranch.
know that. That was
You
going to be
do
my next question.
You do 3 days with me, and you're going to have your running shoes on. You're going to spend money, but you're going to be in front of over 200 investors, and you really need to be rested, and you're going to be exhausted. And at the end of the day, I want that CEO to go back to wherever he's from. And usually it's New York area, New Jersey, or somewhere else, another state. And I want, when people ask them about that roadshow, I want them to say that that was the best roadshow I ever had in my life. And it was amazing.
And I know the feeling. I know the feeling to get those compliments, and it's amazing. Hey, Ray, I want to thank you for coming on today. You've been really, really insightful here. And I hope some companies can get on with you. How can we reach you? How can people get in touch with you?
Well, unfortunately, my website is down. It's getting rebuilt as we speak. But the main way people can get a hold of me is actually through my cell phone. My cell phone number's 321-439-2120, and or send an email to roliver@bearcreekcap.com. Those
All
are the
right.
best ways to get a hold of me. Okay.
Perfect. And LinkedIn too.
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm big on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I've seen you up there. Yeah, okay.
I have over 30,000 contacts on LinkedIn, and I've been maxed out now for about 8 years. So you got to reach out to me. I got to get rid of somebody to bring you in, but I'll bring you in.
All right. Hey, thanks again, Ray. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Frank.